Guys, this is Allison from Allykatkreations. If this video resonates with you, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you to everybody who has already subscribed. Slowly growing. Impress me, human. $5 shirt. Can't go wrong with that. And if you get anything from my work, a connect the dot, an epiphany, a mind-blowing moment, a new book to read, a new author to explore, please consider supporting my work. All the links are at the bottom. And coming soon, I just got this demolded. It's a little smaller from the last one. Making pyramids. Making pyramids. I'm also making candles. I got lavender sage, rosemary mint, sandalwood vanilla, and lang lang sage. I have gems and sage in them and black salt. They're all protection candles. I'm making small batches right now. Store will be open soon. Getting pictures of everything, and it's been nonstop, to say the least. I'm really tired. I woke up at like really early, didn't get much sleep because Morgan Cat kept me up. And then there's a lot of I want to say drag racing, but there was a lot of commotion up the block from me. So a lot of that kept me awake. So I'm tired. No Blavatsky. My eyes can't even focus that well on the screen. So we're going to do George Van Tassel. Pick up from chapter 4. Trinity of Infinity. And again, for those of you who are new to the George Van Tassel work, I don't read everything. I just read the points that I find I connect with. And then I read his channeling up to source, which is as much as I don't resonate with a lot of the stuff he says, and some stuff I do. Again, you pluck the truth out of the books, and what resonates with you might not resonate with me, but got to read it all so that we can find the truths or stuff that we can at least go, uh-huh. Because if we're not getting the research and we are going to repeat history, we're going to repeat things because we didn't do the research. And thankfully, we have a lot of people tackling that kind of stuff on the political end, but on the spiritual, esoteric end, it's a little bit harder because there's no literal right or wrong. It's perception, it's metaphysical. So with everything that I read and all my opinions that I express, please take what resonates with you. You might not resonate with anything I say, and that's okay. I'm still grateful that you're here. Trinity of Infinity. Time is only understood by each conscious, intelligent unit from its established point of location in motion. I agree with that. Time cannot be measured. Only the repetition of motions manifested as beginnings and endings can be measured. Truth. Each point of beginning and ending is only relative to the understanding of the individual establishing his point of view. And again, I say this all the time. When I was in art school and I walked into this humongous room, all windows with easels all around the room, you had to pick whatever one you wanted. And there'd be a whole bunch of shit, literal, like desks, skeletons. My professor used to just get junk off the streets. People were throwing out, threw it in the middle of the room, kept it there for 6 weeks. And every time you walked in, you had 6 hours to draw what was in the middle of the room as best as you possibly can from your perspective. So what you see in shades, tones, shadows on objects are going to be different from the person in the next easel because they're seeing it in a different angle. The same thing could be said about time. There's some who say that we're living past, present, future all in one moment. That's why I feel a lot of spiritual people tell you to live in the moment and stop worrying about the past because you ain't going back there and you're not that far forward. So don't worry about going that far forward. Like, focus here in the present moment. Hard to do as a human. Hard to do. But try to consciously, at least for an hour or two a day, really be here in the moment. Like, understand what that means. Appreciate, have gratitude for the moment that you're in. A lot of people forget to have gratitude, to have Thanksgiving, to bless their food. I'm not saying you have to, have the trying to get the wording in my head. You don't have to do the religious way of praying over your food. That's what I meant to say, because everybody does it differently. So do what you feel is in your heart to do. But these are the things you should be grateful and thankful for every day: is your breath and all the senses that you do have. Not everybody has hearing. Some people are blind. Some people can't sense things because of their nervous system. So just be thankful for what you do have. It's important. Life, time, and being, B-E-I-N-G, are understandable to intelligence only. These three are non-existent only when intelligence has been excluded by ignorance in the individual. Life, time, and being can only exist in space, which is also infinite. Space is solution, composed of life, time, being, and intelligence. None of these can be measured in the absolute. They can only enter measurable dimension when individuals establish points from which to measure. Length, height, and width. These are only three measurements by which individuals can understand points from which relative measurements are started and ended. An inch, a foot, or a yard are not understood by people who use other devised means of measurement. A relative difference between the measurements must be charted in order to understand the difference between their systems and ours. Measurements can only be achieved in and by motions. No day or night could be measured without the motion of the earth revolving. If we're on a globe, if you see the earth as flat or toroidal, it's everything going around us. Again, I'm not here to say yes or no, because I think you both are also true, being that there's a firmament and it's spherical. it's domed. So if there are people who do have experiences or seeing the earth as a dome, it's because they're seeing the firmament. I believe in the toroidal earth. Donutty kind of hole somewhere. Pirates of the Caribbean type deal. Because there's disclosure in that too. You know, Game of Thrones, the ice wall. What's behind the ice wall? Oh yeah, wildings. Oh shit, those confounded map. I love it. The lifespan of people on the earth is only arrived at by the measurement of people's time on earth relative to past measurements. Belief, the illusion of reality, Ross says that, makes people accept the established record of the lifespans of other people who have lived before them as a measurement by which they should live and then die. The establishment of these points of beginning and end of life are only manifest in matter which has little or no intelligence. Matter cannot manifest motion without energy. Energy is the motion of which manifested through matter. Intelligence which has no motion can only manifest through thought, which causes motion to be manifest in matter by thought force. Now, this might lose some people. I really want you to go look up the book series I did on the Kabbalion. That might be also kind of, it's less dense in understanding. Let's just put it that way. I think I get all these terms out properly, but again, if you look at the laws of physics, they're for their density, by the way, they're not really expanding really. They are starting to question a lot of the laws of physics right now because of the quantum mechanics, quantum entanglement, and really against humanity experiments that they're doing right now. Go watch my quantum AI. As I do that, it moves. And metaphysical ponderings, I talk a lot about that stuff. Because as much as we know of the laws of thermodynamics and the basic laws of physics, they're defying some stuff and they really can't determine if the law is broken or if it's just an expansion of it. And since this book has been written, there's a lot of technological advances and things that might need in the near future to be re-looked at in terms of what the laws of science are. And all of science is not just physics, chemistry, biology. There's a lot of things going on that they don't tell you, especially hybridization with other beings that does do a whole lot to a new genomic code. So there's discoveries of new types of chemistry coming out, and there's a lot going on, guys. They just don't tell you about it. It's not like open. You have to really dig and search for these things. Okay, so he's going by this esoteric. The Curtises talk about this in the Keys to the Universe or the Key of Destiny. I forgot which one. It might be in both because they do the numbers, but they do the circle and the dot kind of thing. He's going here as well. In symbology, the creator is expressed by a circle. This signifies the circumference encompassing everything. The circle is an endless line signifying infinity with no beginning and no end. Life is an essence of the infinite solution we call space. You're living in an endless ocean of life, as are the atoms, planets, and suns. You could not manifest life if life were not where you are. Since life manifests everywhere in infinity, you cannot end life or begin life. You can only establish a point in the endless circle, which is the circle with the dot, where you began the cycle of manifesting matter and life. Motion can be symbolized in the endless circle by the sign of an arrow. So think of a circle and an arrow pointing down. An arrow has always signified the way to go. All matter manifesting life is balanced motion, moves in an arc. All matter manifesting life in unbalanced or unnatural principles is symbolized by an angle. So think of a clock with two hands. The largest portion of you is space, whether it be the space in atoms, cells, or tissue composing the matter of your physical body, or the space your limited body as a unit occupies. Your intelligence is established by the limits of your individual concepts. Everyone uses the one mind. Your limit is only a measurement of your ability to penetrate and absorb to the full your capacity of the infinite intelligence. I agree with that. I agree with that. Where do you think Tesla and some of these other brilliant minds got their epiphanies from? Their aha moments. I mean, many of them had to go through tests and trials. That's just soul growth that they wrote in there. Like, you're going to do this a million times until that last time it's going to be, aha, holy crap, I got it. Ding, 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 ding. And a lot of us are having more of those aha moments a couple of times a month, maybe once a month. It's up to you. When you're reaching, like, for example, when I'm making these or I'm doing other things, like, I'm not thinking, I just feel the vibratory state of the rocks and the gems and the materials that I'm, okay, which one do I want next? Which one's going to flow better next? I sometimes don't even think about it. I just do, because I'm pulling my energy from the ether. I'm pulling my thought forms, my creative expression from higher up. And a lot of you do it too, and you're not even aware of it. When you're writing music, when you're playing music, when you are dancing, when you're writing poetry, when you're doing something creative and using your creative expression, you're really channeling, you're pulling things. That inspiration doesn't just, it comes from you, but it also is not from you. It's from your higher you and your guides and maybe the angels. So just understand that there is a stream of quanta, the ether, all above you, and you pull from it without realizing. And there's some people who don't pull from it as often as they should be. Again, it's okay. We're all in different places in consciousness and understandings. And once you go in and do your work, those aha moments will start happening a lot more. And I'm going to be honest, I've always had the creative spark because I have always been artsy. I was a professional dancer. I used to be a ballerina. I used to do tap, jazz, lyrical, modern. I used to do competitions all the first part of my life, but I also used to draw a lot and make artwork. When my body stopped working and I got yelled at by the doctor to stop with the impact, I focused on art. Always express myself creatively. Not everybody's creatively expressive, but maybe you love math. Maybe you love statistics, whatever it is that you do, you're getting you're pulling. Like, I'm sure Tassel wasn't an artist. Let's be honest, right? But he was able to draw blueprints, and he was able to grab information and channel information from other sources to get what he got done. What he built, channeled, or him telling telethought. You are an assembly of other forms of individual manifested life. Yes, I keep saying that. I do. You are a fractalized portion of a lot of things. You're just not, you're in your embodiment, but what makes your soul up is a whole platitude of things. You are a form enclosing various compositions of atomic, molecular, crystalline, and cellular structure. In turn, you are a small individual part of a living planet, solar system, and galaxy. Change is a result of motion. Time is measurable only in cycles of repetition. Every thought sets up motion. Every motion causes an effect. That's what I keep saying a lot of the time. Your manifestation of matter in motion, he uses what I use, is the reflection of your true concept and understanding of infinity. Cycles of repetitions of the divisions, all divisions of opposites reach a fulcrum, pinnacle of stillness at times. Everything in the universe comes under one or another or the three aspects of infinity. Each of the opposites, such as here and there, cycles are interchanged within itself like a swinging pendulum. Here becomes there as soon as you cross the street, and there becomes here. As you register your own changes in time, tomorrow becomes today as the earth revolves on its axis, and today was tomorrow, yesterday. Life and death also interchange so that the being may manifest through the action. Time cannot be a dimension because everything in motion in time will never repeat itself again exactly it was before. If you could be not, then you could not be now, because now was then before you arrived here from there. I know it's tongue twisting. You are all the time, even when your body sleeps. The real you never sleeps. This is the truth. Although it rests at the peak of the fulcrum in the interchange between the opposites of life and death. I'm only saying this because I've seen snippets of this. 2 years ago, when I was just figuring shit out and I was still in bad circumstances. I'm getting there slowly again, but I had a snapshot of myself in my light body. Now I'm able to project my light body. I can see my light body. I can be cognizantly aware of where it's traveling. Not all the time. Sometimes I'm able to see and sometimes I cannot. Especially in my sleep. I am very tired for a reason, because I'm not necessarily sleeping. My soul is upstairs fixing 4, 5, and 6 density. I don't want to say this from an ego space because I'm not alone in this, because many of you have also traversed the same thing. I'm not alone here. I just happen to be able to recall this. And again, you don't have to resonate with me, believe me, or otherwise. being what portion of my soul is of the Archangel Collective, myself and a bunch of others that are angels and archangels graded and pretty much made 4, 5, and 6 density. That was my work after individuating at a source to help create this universe. As many of you who have read Dolores Cannon will understand this concept, because we were all once the tree, the air, the fire, the rock, the ground, the plant, the animal, then the human. Like, we all had this succession. Like, I have seen my light with other lights. So it's not just me doing it. It's a whole plethora of people building this galaxy. And the dimensionality of this dimension, this reality, and there's a lot of infiltration. There's a lot of unbalance. And I know for the past 2 years, it has slowed down since, that I'm going up and fixing the wrongs in my light body. And I'm not alone. There's a whole plethora of people that tell me that they get the same feeling. That's why there's a lot of I feel there's a lot of people who clear lane lines and who understand the vibration of the earth. And that's also because they also helped create this reality. And not just this reality, everything overlaps and overlays. Everything is a thick layer of octaves and vibrations. Ra talks about this. You have a stacking of everything. When I went up in my meditation to source and came down to pull my guides down to close that Stargate, I was riding on my dragon, and I fell into the densities. So I started into the infinitude of light that I saw myself amongst all my soul tribe. And when I started, I slowly started to materialize until I fell back into my body. I had a lot of light workers helping me do this intensive meditation, but I'm sharing this with you guys because it's very important to understand what he is saying. You are a multitude of things that occupy you. You're a fractal of everybody around you. You are a fractal of source. You are embodiment of angels, archangels, aliens, other entities that came before you, your ancestors. Some of them come in to weave within you and mesh their portion of their little soul fractal with you to have experiences through you. It's not, yes, you are you. You have an identity, you have a frequency key, you have your embodiment, you have your personality. No one's ever going to take that away from you. Doesn't go anywhere. But what makes you is a whole plethora of things. And that's a lot. It's really difficult for a lot of people to embody that and understand that. You're not just one thing. You have the God spark, you have the Christos within you, and you're having an experience with other things having experiences through you. It's hard to imagine that, but I can only go from my own knowing and experience of when you're pulled to something, like I'm pulled to the Norse. I have a lot of Norse past lives. Freya, I'm connected to. The energy of Freya, I am extremely connected to. I'm not saying I'm Freya, but I'm connected somehow to her. The same with the celestial and etherical guides. Very connected to fairies, very connected to specific things. So what do you like? Like, I, out of nowhere, just started reading Norse stuff and like, whoa, this feels like it's home. What feels like a home at you? What do you like? I mean, some people like Native American, Aboriginal stuff. Some people like different cultures. Some people like different time frames. What is it that you like? And start going back and connecting to those points. And you might get your aha moments if you start listening to certain types of music. You might get flashbacks. You might get snapshots. You might get a feeling to investigate further, because it's what is really interesting you. The things that interest you, you have a connection and a tie to. Even if you feel like it's mundane and no, trust me. Flesh is only matter you assimilate as requirement of this dense earthly condition. Flesh moves only because your real body moves it. Your matter body of flesh is not going to walk or talk after you get out of it. True. Death can only manifest in matter. This is the interchange that permits matter to return to what it was before you assimilated it into form. That portion of space, which is you, will always be in time somewhere. Expressing life here now is really death there then, when you observe from the opposite side of things. The Trinity of time, space, and being are the deity called God. Time, like thought, is infinite. Time does not go by. Everything that moves in the universe goes through time. Man measures time with clocks and calendars. If there were no measuring methods made by man, then there would be no yesteryears or tomorrows. Age would not exist today, would be all there is. Individual beings are all part of each other in the universe, since making up infinite being. God is not an individual, but is all of us. God being infinite and boundless, he is not something or some man finds on the other side of the door called death. If this was true, he would not be infinite. Time is a medium through which the beings of God's creation manifest God's presence. No one can live in the past or the future who is not present now in God. Mind through thought is not limited to present, for thought is also infinite. The creative mind of today is the same infinite mind that created the universe. What did I just speak about? What I was doing? And many of you. Boom. Mic drop. Mind is God manifested in being. Your part of God is manifested when you use God's infinite mind to create through thought. Thought is the creative force that gives life to being. Space is not void. Space is the essence of intelligent mind. Man is a space filled with creative matter, manifesting the thought essence of form. And so are all things with life. Man is in God's image only when the thought of infinite mind is brought into being by individual thought to manifest other creative forms in time. Objects, structures, and things cannot manifest creative thought as they do not move through infinite time as individual parts of space or the essence of intelligence. To be, man must manifest motion in the medium of time, which stands still. Anyone who does not have time to manifest God's doing has discarded thought and life. The matter manifesting their form will soon become inert. Death is not a doorway to God in heaven. Heaven is a doorway to God on earth. I know that's going to boggle some heads there. But I've already read this book, but before I read this book, again, someone's validating how I'm thinking. So I'm picking that through the creative thinking of upstairs, because I'm not alone in my thoughts. This is a lot of what I say normally before I even read this book. So for me, this book in particular was a very, even though I don't resonate with a lot of it, this stuff I do, because it's, for me, spot on. And here's a channeling. Mortals bound in density, who would be the cause, who would bide my time. The tree of thee in me stops not its growth. Though my parts would add to my divisions, my faceless cosmic clock records no time. For man is not a cause, but rather a result of me. For I alone am cause of things to be. And though through mortal men would wind my clock of destiny and set the powder keg of destruction at my feet, how can he know the hope? For I alone am cause, and man is the result of me, bound to destiny. And in destruction bent reverses course, and all the light spent in his being is hidden by the current of ignorance drawn before me. Though I alone am cause, my wrath is not aroused. I tear the shroud, I being man back through birth within the light, and my test, my right expressed in progression of my parts. I write the drama, man plays the fool. Then I applaud and make the tool sharper to my cause through experienced results. Man cannot set my clock, for I alone can read the time of my eternity. And so it is, I set the stage, I play the parts. I cause the curtain to come down while man sits in the audience of my universe applauding, not knowing why. Pause. I've been saying this, and so have many others. This is a stage. We are expressions of God. He's playing through us. We are the characters. Think of it as a video game. We have quests, we go on missions, we choose which ones we want and which ones we don't want. If you've ever played a video game like World of Warcraft, that is a prime example of this reality, of this life. You start off as this little avatar and you build it up. And each level you gain more experience. In every level there's new things and trials and tribulations you must traverse. And then you pick specialties at your free will. You can choose alchemy, you can choose blacksmithing, leatherworking, alchemy, potion making, whatever have you, right? So, and then you get different vehicles. You could just choose which ones you want and what you're flying. And then you go portaling through different dimensions to go play different places. Oh my goodness. Sorry, guys. I didn't know my volumes. No. So just be aware, God's having an experience through us. That includes the negative polarity. That includes the service to self. That includes all these murderers and eaters of, they're having an experience through source. And again, God, the prime creator, is dualistic because it has a positive and a negative pole, like we have a positive and a negative pole. The difference between us and a lot of what's going on is that we have the Christic spark, the God spark within us. And there are beings living out here in the multiverse who do not have the Christic spark. They are sentient. They are of God, but they don't acknowledge that. They don't have the spark. There's a big difference there. God's still working through them and having an experience. But what makes us different is that spark. Anywho, though I have scattered my creations throughout the endless space of me, I use my tools to manifest my doings. To do my works, no task is small. I choose my tools, I trust them all until they fail me. I then put another to the test. My tools are not the tools of man that rust and break and fall away. My tools are living instruments that work with love throughout the day and night. To each I gave the choice to be an instrument of me. That's our free will. Are you choosing to walk the path of the prime creator, source, whatever you want to call that energy for you? We made that choice. We have the choice to be of service to self and a service to others. And we have to have a balance of both, to be honest, more on the positive. But if we're not taking care of ourselves, which is a sort of service to self, when our cup is empty and it's not getting filled any longer, you got to have a service to yourself to be a service to others. But there are people who just keep taking and taking, and there's no give. There's no energy exchange of balance. There's no neutrality in their thinking. It's all me, 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 I. And they're not doing for others. They're not expressing creatively the source of others, of humanity. They're only for their own paradigm. That's what they chose. That's the experience that they chose, and that's the contract they have with source. Again, doesn't make it bad, good, or indifferent. It's just an experience, and we've all had those experiences. Once you understand the totality of your being, that you already been here, done that several thousand times. Some people might be newer souls. Some people might be ancient, like myself. I was rich, I was poor, I was black, I was white, I was killed, I was the killer. I was sacrificed, I was the one doing it. We were all there in different forms, different places, different languages, different countries, all of it. So the people who are playing the evil villains right now, they're of source. And once you understand that concept, it's a game changer. Because then you stop judging and bashing and spewing hate. You don't need to like them, and you don't need to acknowledge them. It is what it is. But they're of God. They're a creation of. So it's something that a lot of people have a hard time thinking about and dealing with and applying it to their everyday life, because we're still seeing it's okay. There's sorry, upstairs is talking through me. So I'm getting boggled. A lot of them are talking. A lot of people are in judgment. When we take the judgment out and understand it's God having an experience, we'd better understand why we are awake to their evil doings. If they didn't do that evil and those things that they were doing to like have some kind of acknowledgement, we would not be awake. We would not consciously expand. We would still be doing whatever you were doing before 25 years ago, depending how old you are. More and more people are becoming aware of the evil in the world. They're becoming aware that it's very unbalanced, which it is very much unbalanced. God's test for the characters on stage is to balance good and evil. It's not to eradicate, because you need both paradigms. The people that are evil get delivered, see the light when someone touches them in such a way that they change their habits. That's why when people go to jail, not all of them, they made a mistake. It's an experience that they needed to go through. Should they be judged the rest of their life? Because through time and motion and movement and making positive changes in life, should you hold that accountable for that person the rest of their life if it's something petty? People make mistakes. People are chronic mistake makers. Again, read Pistis Sophia. There's so many things that Jesus says in that book. It's incredible how many times he's like, but the disciples kept saying, well, this person is continuously getting up. Oh, but you have to give them grace and compassion. And on the fifth or sixth, I don't know how many times, I have to go back to recall how many times Jesus allows somebody to make the same mistake or a similar type of mistake, to be repented, to come back and adjust and to fix. But if they fall again, he's still giving them grace. Why, if this is what boggles my mind, and I know I'm going off topic with the book, but this is something, again, I'm channeling. This is something that if people who read the Bible, who are religious and their followers, okay, why aren't you giving the same grace Yeshua gave to other people? Remember, we all chose our religion, our parents, our circumstances. We chose this. We chose when people were going to die in our life. Like, I knew as a little kid that my parents were going to die when I was young. I knew this as a little child. I told my aunt, I don't talk to her anymore, but I told my aunt, I'm like, I'm going to have to rely on my family later on in life. Why? Because they're not going to live that long. No one wants to hear that from a kid, but my aunt later on, when my mom passed away, she's like, I remember you saying that when you were young. And that's really scary that transpired. It's not because I manifested it. It's because it is what it is. I chose that. They chose that. They weren't meant to ascend in their physical form. They are not healthy enough to do so. They're waiting to be incarnated again. They're not incarnating right now. Three of my parents. My birth mother is a different story, But my mother and my father who adopted me, they are not coming back to incarnate in any form until after everything hits. So when people are hanging on Jason Q's words about the 2015 people coming back, and oh my gosh, please detach from that concept. Please, please. You're never going to be separate from your soul tribe, okay? Your family, your kids, your dogs, cats, animals, whatever have you, they're a part of your tribe. They move with you. You are individually here to have an experience. When you start detaching from, listen, it sucked. My parents are dead. It sucks, right? That I don't have other people to get advice from. Like I used to call my mom every day after work to have a conversation with her, just to shoot the breeze. I don't have that at ready will like other people. I don't have another person I can emulate as my parent, and I wouldn't do that to another person, right? You know, I have people that come in that look over me, but they're not my mom and dad. It's not easy being at my age, and I was 34 when my mom died, right? And that's relatively young. Most people lose their parents when they're later on in life. My parents had me late. They were 37 when they adopted me. I was 22 when my dad died, and my mom, I was 34. That's young. And I know people that lost their parents way younger than that. And I don't have anybody to pick up the slack and the pace. But I'm saying this to say, I detached from the idea that they're dead because they're always with me. My parents are literally always around me. They show me in the signs of the birds outside or the butterflies. My grandmother comes in the form of butterflies. I feel their essence all the time. Stop hanging on to a concept, because energy doesn't necessarily die. Like it just explained to you. They're always here. They're just not physical. When they become physical is when we move up consciously and we are in the clear. And I don't know when that's going to happen. They're not giving me that because, again, time is fluid. Things keep changing. All the thinking, all of humanity are not on the same page. There are people whose unconscious, subconscious want a certain experience that they don't know in this conscious life. Their unconscious wants, subconscious wants an experience. We have to stop judging what other people choose, and you have to start living for your now. Live for your now, not anybody else's, but yours alone. Detach. We all die. This physical avatar at some point, for most of us, will die. Even if it's in 4 density, it doesn't matter what density. Eventually, it's not going to serve us any longer. And you're going to transcend to another vehicle or into your light body. But you're always going to keep transcending, and you're always going to find the people, your tribe. You're always going to come back to them. Even if they're incarnated in human form or another type of form, you still know their energy, and you still are able, because it's fractalized. Your higher self is with your family that's passed on. You're with your family. You're with them. You're hanging out upstairs with them because your higher self is there already. You're not. What parts of your soul is here? But a lot of you is up there. And guess what? It's hanging out with your dead relatives. So that upstairs wanted me to clarify that for you. Because I feel there's intention that people are getting stuck on the detached third density level human being thing. And I know very well I lost people to suicide. I lost people to tragic deaths. I lost my parents. I've lost a lot of people in a short amount of time. And when I detached and understood that they're just energy and they're around me all the time and they're proud of me and that they're watching me and they're influencing things around me so that my path can be a straighter path instead of the zigzags that I have to go through. But just please understand and know that. And not to say that Jason Q is absolutely wrong. We haven't crossed that bridge yet. But stop hanging on to that 2015 concept. That's a broad, generalized statement to make. And he's only reading it off a document. It's not him saying that. He's only reading a document. Whether we want to believe it to be true or false, I'm in the middle of that because, again, my family's always with me. If they're dead, not physical, they're still here energetically. I'm trying to go within to open up that part of me to have a conversation with them where I don't need a medium. Remember, I'm not that type of medium. I'm a mental medium. I channel. And I'm not having a body entity, I'm not having a spirit come within me and my soul leaves. That's not, I'm trans. Consciously, not allowing something to jump in me. Nope. But I have a stream of information coming into me. Anywho, next chapter. Chapter 5, Unseen Scales. The accompanying, hang on. Okay. He drew this thing here. I don't know if that resonates with me or not. But the accompanying drawing is to explain the one universal principle of life. The principle is standard on any planet in space and in all life forms, whether insect, animal, bird, human, man, or spirit. In the drawing, you are looking at the cut ends of the negative B lines of light energy, of course, greatly enlarged. They are traveling away from the rotating in a counterclockwise direction. These are female receptive negative polarity lines of light energy. At right angles or 90 degrees to the B lines of light energy are the positive A lines traveling from left to right and rotating in a clockwise direction. These two lines of light energy can only unite in birth or death. Birth by induction, death by short circuiting. God controls physical birth and death by allowing the rebirth of individuals through the living instruments of his choosing. Again, why you pick your parents and everybody around you. Only when he removes his insulating qualities can a seed be born into another repetition of life progression. Only when you have lived his purpose for you in each life grade does he graduate you into the next grade. Oh, and there we are. Many of us are graduates. Let's put our caps and gowns on and be indoctrinated and have fun. But no, we're up for graduation. Many of us. Congratulations. If your actions prove to him that through volition of his infinite laws, you will not pass this grade, Then you die physically, and your eternal atomic cluster of consciousness is brought back through rebirth into the same grade in order to pass on to the next higher grade. So that's what a lot of people are talking about. When there's a caveat though. If you pass away before whatever we want to call ascension, your ascension, okay, it might not be in this vehicle that you are inhabiting right now. You might actually physically pass away and be upgraded and graduated that way. Some people who are not ready to graduate, there's a whole lot of people here that are not graduating. Again, we were the ones in Atlantis that didn't graduate. We had to be held to incarnate again. And here we are at the end of this cycle. There's going to be people that are not graduating with us. They're watching like we watched so that we can remember. And when they come up to the end of their cycle, oh shit, I remember what they did. There we are. But some people are going to repeat their density. Nothing wrong with that. That's what you're choosing. You're not ready yet. And some of us are moving on up. Everybody has their specific plan, and your plan is designated for you and God. That's it. So don't freak out about that stuff. When you were created as man in God's image, you were made an atom of matter, charged with opposite polarities in your proton-electron individuality. You were given individual motion. The space within your electron orbit shell boundary was endowed by the creative spirit with his unseen intelligence. As you progressed through the mobile highways of light energy, you encountered the experience of meeting other atoms of different elements of matter. With each new experience, you add another atom to your consciousness. Soon, the consciousness began to increase in size, composed of many atoms of different experiences and of different elements. Your consciousness is composed of the same number of atoms as the number of experiences you have since your creation as an individual. Experience is recorded in the consciousness, and in consciousness is the eternal record of your knowing, the Akasha. Education and learning are recorded in the brain and can only be used in this mortal grade of life. When the brain is buried with the body, all the learning and intellectual education ends unless it has been applied through experience. To reach the true intelligence of your many experiences and permanent knowledge requires going within. Through meditation, you can be aware of your consciousness and unseen intelligence you accumulated in the past. The largest portion of your original atom creation was the space within the shell boundary. This space was and will always be the unseen portion of you of the supreme intelligence. As you travel through the maze of life, lines you often encounter resistance, set up by those who think they are going in the right direction and that you should conform to their direction of travel. But each was given the individual right to choose his direction. Scientifically, the correct course is at 45 degrees to the lines of light and in a progressive spiral into finer frequencies of light. This maintains the balance between the positive and negative lines of light energy. Every body that interprets the lines of force will establish a field around itself. Stationary bodies such as trees, rocks, or mountains establish fields, the same as atoms, planets, or suns. On a surface, a negative polarity, the height of every species, is established by the field around it. Therefore, vegetation and trees grow to a common species average. The field set up in a tree is such that the lines of force passing through the tree establish a vortex in its body. This vortex starts at the surface of the ground. Sap does not only go up a tree, but it goes around in a spiral as it goes up. The shape of each plant or stationary form of life is established by the boundaries of its vortex or its field or its aura. Everything everywhere is encompassed in such an auric field. In life that moves, such as animals, the soul force in the body establishes form from the central intelligent master cell. This frequency of the animals is much lower than the human form, of course. The animal body of humans is the manifested filler composed of inert matter that is required in the frequency upon the earth's surface. The soul force is distributed through the inert matter by the bloodstream. The man body of reality establishes the field. In climbing a hill, you have to push the vortex upward. It is much easier for some people to so climb than others. This is because their polarity balance is nearer to neutrality. If the physical negative vortex surrounded by the aura reaches a balance between what we term spirit and the physical, that person can climb a hill without effort because it is not required that he push the inert matter upward in defiance of the laws of gravity. The human vortices also start and end at the surface of the ground. In man, balance is achieved above the Earth's surface. The negative vortex has its apex downward at the feet. The positive vortex of the real body has its apex upward above the head. When the balance between the physical reflection and the real body, or the consciousness of your being, reaches a state of equilibrium, these vortices will be of the same length, the same diameter, and the same speed of rotation. You can levitate yourself with the forces established at 0 point between these two opposing polarities. I hope to one day be able to do that. I know I don't want to walk when my knees hurt or my back hurts. I would love to just do it. Through these vortices and with them, you can establish a field of protection around you. I talk about this all the time. Not necessarily by willful direction, but by the actions you manifest. If your thought is good, your actions are of giving nature. If you are concerned with the welfare of others, you automatically establish a field of protection around you because the universal mind compensates directly and equally for every thought and action. The zero balance between the physical vortex and the vortex of the real, conscious, everlasting you is difficult to hold. You may be unbalanced slightly in one direction or another, in one belief or the other, in the manifested actions you perform. The purpose in your being on the surface of the planet is to bring about a balance, first in your own control, and next a balance between each of you, an understanding, a compassion, a love that is not expressed in words. This balance cannot be maintained mechanically, for you don't know which vortex to increase or decrease. But by following the basic principle of the golden rule, by doing all the things in moderation, you will arrive at a point of equilibrium where you will be able to know which side of zero you must bring up or down. When you reach a state of zero polarity between your individual vortices, you are at one with the infinite mind. You can know anything, you can see anything, and you can be anything of your choice so long as you maintain that balance. Someone is making my nose itch. Someone's thinking about me. If you associate closely with people, these vortices can leak, thereby causing you to acquire disease or character conditions of one you associate with. I've seen this before, and it's freaky. This is also responsible for what we call love. Not the real love, but the physical attraction of one for another, oftentimes of one sex for the same sex. If one has a predominantly negative physical vortex and another has a predominantly spiritual vortex, these two vortices are attached to each other. This is not the condition of love. It is a condition of mutual attraction by two people who may seem to be entirely opposite in every other respect. Someone at a distance from you cannot affect you, but in close association, you will assimilate characteristics of another person. These are natural things because nature wants to balance everything. The spiritual person is attracted to the predominant materialist and vice versa. The leakage of vortices is something you should watch for. You can assimilate character, understanding, and love by association with people who demonstrate these characteristics. Therefore, you should try to associate with these types of people. Now, light workers out there, my mission, as of depending on the people that I'm serving, there are so many people who I have been and still are more on the material side and not of the spiritual. But by me being in their essence, in their fields, my field is overwhelming. It expands. I want to be the positive influence in the room to help the consciousness expansion and also the spiritual protection for a lot of people. So, yes, you want to be around the same types of people because your field will not have to be, cleansed. But for some of us, we chose missions to help people whose fields are littered with demonic, evil entities, thought forms that negatively affect them. Once you do your own protection and you shield yourself, you won't have a problem. But just know that most of us who are the lighthouses for others, we have to be around other people to be that lighthouse. Yes, I can sit at my house and my light shines in my neighborhood. Great. But when I'm traveling and when I'm going around, there are not going to be all these happy spiritual people around me. You can grab interference in your auric field all the time from other people because a lot of people are not doing the work on themselves. Just know to shield and protect yourself and do cleansing rituals like in the shower. Again, these things don't have to be crazy. Just shower, and I use special sage soap or frankincense and myrrh soap. Again, sage, gems, whatever you are into. And if not, just go outside and ground. Give it to the tree. So just be aware that we, as much as we want to be around people like ourselves, that's not always the case. The vortex of the human physical body will also cause people to be repelled. I know this all so well. I do. Because people concentrate more on my outward appearance and it intimidates people. I'm sorry, I'm not here to be intimidating, but I don't perceive myself that way. You perceive me that way. That's not my problem. That's your problem. I said this the other day in the video. My field is very, very strong. And when I was working in New York, a lot of people couldn't stand me at first, but I was forced to work with some people. And when I entered the room and I kept doing that, and over time, they started to understand me. They started to give in a little bit, and then they started to like me because they they got used to my energy. They weren't repelled, but at first they got very repelled. And I know a lot of us feel that way when we go out, we're working, there's crazy people out, they're not awake. Oftentimes you will meet one whom you immediately dislike intensely. This is not a condition of knowing the other person. It is a natural condition of polarities repelling each other. These things are beyond the scale of records as far as individuals go. It is not possible to compute and understand the vortices of all individuals. Individually, however, you can try to understand your own and the effects of the vortices of other people around you. But remember, one can be close to you and discharge your vortex by any opposite charge, thereby causing you to feel physically tired and drained. AKA, those are what we call empaths. Study your friends at a safe distance about. I'm not saying this. This is why I know some of this stuff is a little askewed. It's not necessarily wrong, but it's like, okay, Jim Brewer, 6 foot safe. 5 foot danger. It's 6 foot safe. I'm not lying, it says that. 6 foot. Before you associate closer, or you may discover that you term an enemy in the friendship you thought was yours. Okay. Okay. During that horrible event that was supposed to kill us all, now the 6 foot thing is always seen as something extremely negative. And I agree to an extent. But upstairs kind of just gave me this. I never even thought about this. If that 6 foot thing, again, numbers are numbers, and we have to stop associating evil numbers and good numbers because all numbers are numbers. What if that was really keeping a lot of us safe, legitimately safe, not from the spread of something, okay? But what is coming out of somebody that's... What happens if we really kept that distance and we were just going about life and being respectful of others' choices, like I hope a lot of us have? And again, we don't have to agree with anything. Just when you go out in public, be respectful of other people's fears. And, you know, some people are deathly afraid of shit. Again, that's their caveat to have. But what happens? We're always speaking negatively of it. We're joking about it. And I love to joke about this shit because it was hell for a lot of us, blue state patriots. But what if that was really keeping us light workers safe? By being away from people and people that were in fear, that wasn't rubbing off on our auric field because we weren't exposing ourselves to that. I always don't like to take a positive or a negative and turn it into a positive, but that is something that, you know, they just reminded me, like, yeah, it's, you know, you have to stop with the numbers. You have to stop associating what the negative polarity does, and that they inverted and twisted everything. Like, why are you allowing them to take number 6 and make it evil? Like, are you kidding me? Stop the nonsense. It's a number and it's applied to God. Okay, leave it be. Okay, they use it great, but you're going to use it for good. So that keeping the separateness might have saved a lot of us. And not because it's science, because it's spiritual, and it is science in the terms of the things you can't see yet still exist, which is your field. Channeling. Oh man, my light is not for the victor, nor for the one who falls in defeat. My light is to the one who gains understanding of my ways. My arms are not extended either to the right or the left, but are centered to balance the living individual parts of my being. Though forces may oppose your every move, my strength lies in the power to meet the opposition. Though evil may tempt you, my light is brightest when the evil is overcome. For evil is not of my creation, O man. Evil is brought about by those who falter on the way to me. Never, never in all my eternity shall man control the paths to me. Pause. See, and this is what I don't resonate. If God created everything in this universe, that includes the balance of duality, and that includes evil and good. But man manifests is thought forms that are not of God. They're not sentient. They weren't created with the God spark. So if we think and will and project in negative things, right? If you watch paranormal shows, I mentioned this a few times before, but like Amy Allen from Dead Files, if you watch her and Steve DeShavi, they go to these houses, she reads the energy that's going on and conversates with the dead. Okay. Half of the time with younger kids that are depressed, they're so strong and manifesting thought forms, which is what we call demons or poltergeists. Some stuff is naturally to the earth and was manifested a long time before, and we just move and we have these things, shadow aspects of other realms. I have that outside. That's why I have little Thor outside. And he's welcome to come in whenever he wants, but that's why I have the animals. That's why certain people have a lot of cats. It's keeping some demonic shit out. So a lot of these evil things we call demons are not necessarily the fallen angels, because the fallen angels fell into materialism and played a role for God, while things of the negative polarity were manifested through our thoughts and stories we created about these fallen evil things, which are really not evil. That is going to take a while for people to even ponder. But if you create your reality and you are creating, someone invented this pen, right? You're inventing material matter. You can materialize negative energy. And that negative energy that builds up over time becomes a form. And then at times it does become intelligent. And it also feeds off of other souls who have not crossed over and who is earthbound. That's a whole nother caveat for another day. The Book of the Living Dead that I did with the Curtises explains a lot of this that I'm talking about very well. But yes, we manifested evil, but evil is also a part of God because God created good and evil. But a lot of the things are our manifestations being manipulated through the evil. So like the story of Lucifer, I posted a channeling on my Telegram channel about Lucifer, Archangel Lucifer, being channeled by Marta. I don't like everything on that channel, and again, I'm very picky and selective with what I listen to when people are channeling, because if I don't feel the resonance and energy and the intent from that, whatever is being, listened to, I turn it off. I don't listen. Certain ones I can listen to and I do resonate with, and I feel the energy is legitimate. And then I go upstairs and I go within to make sure that what I'm listening to is something that for me is legitimate. And those happen to be legitimate. And all the other channelings of Archangel Lucifer or Archangel Hallel, which is his other name, all have the same frequency and resonance. The same when you listen to the Law of One. There are other people who channel Ra, Quo, Latwi, Latan, Hatan. They all sound, the frequency, the verbiage all sounds very similar. It's individualized coming from the channel, but for the most part, it feels the same. It sounds the same. So when I'm listening to this channeling, it's on Telegram. You have to go up a bit, but Lucifer is telling you the story that was created about me is absolutely false. It was a narrative, and yes, he says it. I am the adversary. I'm playing a role that God wanted me to play. I'm here to test you. I am the test. God put me here in this role, but you chose to invert a lot of what my purpose here was for. So we got to understand that when things were rewritten way before we were even here, things and stories keep manifesting and they keep being told to you in the same way, and you're going to start believing it because it's repetitive. And then you're going to manifest that Lucifer is evil, or whatever entity is evil, or this person or that person's evil, because you heard it and you heard it enough times, it sinks in. We got to stop that cycle. Again, you might think Lucifer is the worst thing since sliced, moldy bread. It's fine. But take the eagle view up and understand what the fall actually means. Not necessarily an allegory, but you fell too. You fell into matter. You were all the way up with source, and then you dropped. It's falling, descending. So I am not with that, but let's move on. We're almost done. My eternity shall man control the paths to me. The paths are my ways, and man can only travel on my paths. In all my doings, I have brought about a pattern of progression. None can turn about my works. None can interpret my way. Those who follow in the darkness only trip themselves. Stand within the light of me, for I am light of thee, O man. And I can only shine when you have made the way in progress of my doing. Learn not upon another. Only accept thy brother as one to help, one to assist along the way, that unity in numbers may bring about progression in my infinite light. Fear not, fear not. There is no fear within my being of you. Fear is only added by the things you do that are not within the pattern of my ways. Reach within. I am there. None can scare you when you find the me in thee. Stand upright. Death is only that which adds to those who have performed the grade. Fear no evil. Stand within my light. Feel my loving light within you. Know that I am there throughout eternity. And And that is the end of that portion. And we're going to leave it there. I know I ranted a lot and I do apologize, but a lot of confusion is happening now. A lot of people I'm seeing a lot of things. And, you know, I'm just one person spreading the seeds of what I receive. You might not resonate, and that's okay. I don't resonate with everything that was just said. But again, most of it is pretty close to being spot on in my eyes. Might not be in your eyes. But this is a really interesting book. Get it, read it. It's a different perspective for sure. But it's one that I think opens up other avenues of thinking. If we have one and only one perception, we are not moving and advancing because we're stuck in that paradigm. When you can open and explore other viewpoints, other perceptions, other people's thinking, you're exposing yourself to more creative spirit and more creative thought. Even though you don't resonate with it, something that I say or someone else says might spark an epiphany within you to go off on your own rabbit hole or to go off on your own journey. I can't tell you how many other people in my life that I've listened to, that I have watched, sparked memories within me. Memories that only I know of and only I can have. The galactic stuff, watching James Rink, how many of these guys talk about their, you know, their experiences, and all of a sudden I get snapshots, pictures, images in my mind of me doing things. Like I'm starting to remember. That's kind of what we're all trying to do in some aspect, is help steer others in their remembering of what they are. At the totality, that's what I'm trying to do for you. So I hope each and every one of you had an amazing weekend. Monday's upon us. Monday's already here for many of you. I didn't know I was going this late, but sending each and every one of you love, light, protection, and shielding. Please be safe, be seen. The weather is a little wonky out there. Shield and bubble yourself daily. Try to ground. Go back into the spiritual soul advice that I do, empowerment affirmations. I give you a lot of good tips in there if you're new to my channel and you need a starting place. If you're into the spiritual stuff, even if you're not. 6 foot safe. It's 5 foot danger. You gotta watch him. Jim Brewer, freaking genius. You don't have to agree, but it's funny shit. And lastly, stores coming soon. This is like the first pyramid I can sell. I'm making, it takes a while. So I'm making a whole plethora of stuff. I already have a lot of people like want stuff already. So I'm like in making mode. So be patient. My email is in the description. So if there's something you want custom done or made, let me know. We can discuss. These ain't cheap to make in the first place. This right here is about $100 plus worth of material in here. Besides the gems, I have copper in here, and a lot of it. Copper is expensive, and the epoxy is really expensive. So, but my intentions are all infused in here. I do a lot to make sure that the energy is right when I'm making my work. Anywho, ranting again. Hope to see you all in the next one. Please like, share, and subscribe. I only get like less than 10 likes on all my videos. And some chat like BitChute and Rumble, I don't really go on my Rumble. It's there. It's great. It's connected to my YouTube, by the way. That does not say a lot right there. For the moment, YouTube is where I'm at. 7 likes on my last video. Makes me sad. I know so many people are watching because they see how many people view. Amish mindset. Unless you really hate me and you're just watching to get angered. Amish mindset. Sorry, guys. Yeah. I gotta go meditate and ground because they're coming through very heavy. And I'm not gonna stop ranting because it's them ranting, not me. So until the next one, guys. Stay safe, 6 foot safe. Bye, guys.